Good evening. Good evening. I would like to take this time to open up the monthly school board meeting on October the 12th, 2021. And I will do the invocation. May we all bow our heads, please. God, we thank you for your many acts of kindness, how you woke us up this morning, how we have breath in our bodies, and we're still in the land of the living. These are your acts. Thank you for not allowing any hurt, harm, or danger to come upon us, that your mighty hand or your mighty right hand, you stop the hands of the enemy attempting to attack our minds and our thoughts. We praise you because without you, we are nothing. So you are worthy to be praised. We thank you for this awesome fall day. This is a day that you have made, and we have made a conscious decision to rejoice in it. God, look on our bereaved families, for there are many locally in the surrounding areas and all over this land. Look on our school system and touch these students that are hurting, are feeling alone in this big world, and are going through mental issues. We ask that you put someone in their life and in their path that will compel them and encourage them to seek help and maintain. God, thank you for our superintendent and her cabinet. Thank you for our administrators and their staffs. We pray that they make the best decisions for the students and the schools. We understand that being in the school system today is not easy. Being a teacher is not easy. So I pray that they be encouraged and think about the why they became educators, why they want to make a difference in the lives of others. We thank you for our president, our federal government leaders, our governor, our state governmental leaders. Look on our local leaders, the county commissioners, the city council, the mayor. We thank you for giving our attorney traveling mercies. Continue to be with her and her family. And finally, allow me to thank you for this school board. Continue to keep us connected even the more. Let us always think about what is best for the students and the districts. And let us stay vigilant and observant as we move forward in excellence. Keep us committed to being one team, one goal. This we ask in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Amen. Next on our agenda is the chairman's report. And so I do want to say that earlier, I guess it was last month, latter part of last month, we had our improvement plans, and so I really want to thank Erica Fortenberry, our federal program and school improvement executive director, for her leadership and her smooth operation, and her team members, her staff, for that. The sessions were really, really good. We had some really good, outstanding improvement plans. And we thank her for the breakfast and the lunch and the snacks, and I'm sure I gained a little bit more weight. In addition to that, I would like to thank the school principals and their staff for great presentations. You know, we have some beginning principals, and they came out, you know, showing off and showing up, you know, with the school improvement presentation. So I do want to thank Erica. I know she's not here, but thank you, Erica, wherever you are. I would like to ask my board members, do they have anything that they want to say at this time? No. Next on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the agenda we have before us, the 10, 12, 21.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a second?
I second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The agenda is approved. Next on the agenda is Spotlight on Success, and I'll yield to our superintendent.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. This evening, we do have 3 items for Spotlight on Success. Our first item is the recognition of some amazing staff members, our cafeteria managers and staff who have earned 100% on their inspection rating. So at this time, I will turn it over to Ms. Deborah Carpenter, our Executive Director for Child Nutrition, to recognize our cafeteria managers. Yes, ma'am.
Madam Chair,
Vice Chair, and board members, our Superintendent, Dr. Dallas, and all who have assembled together. I want to thank you all so very much for giving us this opportunity. This is the first. I've had hundreds so many years, and this is the first time that they have been recognized. So we feel honored. They're so excited. I do have a manager that has gotten 100 for years and years. And this time she did not, and she said, as soon as I didn't get 100, they recognized. And that's what Shirley Dixon at Don Seed, and she got a 99.5.
Oh,
One little mistake. So she was just, I said, it's okay, you're gonna get it back next time. But anyway, I have, Dr. Dallas said I can do it in any way, but I'll do it like it is on the screen. So I asked the ladies, the managers, to come up when I call their name. We have Miss Barbara Campbell that serves at J.W. Turlington, and Miss Nikki Shabara Nikki Morrison that is the manager there. Nikki is actually the manager of Hope County High School, both cafeterias. She's the manager at San Hope Early College and Turleton, and Miss Barbara serves along with her. So ladies, if you all will come right up in here. And we're so proud of Turleton.
Yes.
This is the first, right? This is the first for Turleton to receive 100. So Miss Barbara, you're doing great things. And Miss Barbara, as you all know, was a manager for us for 40 years. At West Hope Middle School. She opened West Hope Middle School back in the day, and she stayed there until she retired. And then after she stayed out 6 months, we drafted her back.
Wow. Okay. This is Making the Grade, Hope County Schools, presented to J.W. Turleton School. 100% inspection rating 2021, presented by the Hope County Board of Education. Congratulations.
Let's go this way so everybody can see how beautiful you are.
Are we going this way or this way?
We're gonna do it this way, and I'm gonna kind of take it from this side.
Okay, come on.
Yeah, you can take it off this. Come on, Miss Carter. Oh, Jesus. Gotta get your sparkly shoes in.
Okay.
We'll take it off. We'll take it down, mask down for just 1 minute. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 100. Congratulations.
And the next school is Hawkeye Elementary School, and that child nutrition manager is Miss Gracie Jones. And Gracie has had hundreds before, so this is just keeping in line with her. So, and we're just very proud of Gracie. I do want to tell you all that starting in March 2020, it has been very, very difficult for us to score. You know, we have to have a 95 or above, but it has been very difficult. And we have just gotten accolades from the Department of Environmental Health for what we've done. Because as you know, not only do they prepare food, but they have to package it, and they have to, you know, make sure the temperatures are up. They have to make sure everything is in order. They have to sanitize. And they're used to doing all these things, but you know, of course, they pumped it up a notch since COVID, and we're just very proud of it.
Making the Grade, Hope County Schools, presented to Hawkeye Elementary School, 100% inspection rating 2021, presented by Hope County Board of Education. Congratulations.
One, two, three. Thank you.
Our last school
Good job.
is West Hope Elementary School, and our manager is Ms. Patricia McDougal.
Oh, wow.
Patricia has just come back. She's been out for medical reasons, and she was our manager. She's been with me for a long time. She moved from McLaughlin to Sandy Grove, back to West Middle, and then she came back to be with us at West Elementary. I know that Mr. McNeil is about tired of Patricia, right, Dr. Hunt? Because Patricia has gone down there and just done wonderful things at West Elementary. She has just made that school look so good. That cafeteria is just looking really good. So please go out and visit all of our schools. But we're very proud of her, and she said that she told her team, we're gonna get our 100, so y'all can stay ready. And so we're just very proud of her and proud of all the teams. They really all did very well. And I was telling Dr. Dallas and Dr. Hunt that I do not have a manager at West Hope Middle School, and they made 99, and that is awesome. And it was no fault of theirs. It's something that Dr. Hunt and I got to work on. So we're very proud of them. So congratulations.
I would like to say congratulations because I've always been told from a child that 99.5. It says making the grade, Polk County Schools presented to West Hope Elementary School, 100% inspection rating, 2021, presented by the Polk County Board of Education. Congratulations.
Yes. Where were you vice principal at? Where was that?
Well, I'm
retired from West Hope.
Sure did. That's school.
That's my school.
That's her school, baby. Yes, that's the
Look at that. You think you wanna take you can leave it up or down?
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Woo. Congratulations. All right.
Thank you all very much, and please go out to our schools, and we're still serving. It's been a little hard getting food, but we're still serving every day. Thank you all, have a blessed day.
Thank you, you too.
That is an amazing team, our child nutrition department. They're early in the buildings, bright and early, and so we do appreciate everything they do, and you know it's been a challenge, so please know that we do appreciate you and all of your service. Our second item this evening is just to recognize our National Principal Appreciation Month. You know, the principalship has always been a hard job. But COVID has definitely brought that to a whole new level during what we always say these unprecedented times. And I always, I shared with the principals the other day that a lot of times when people look at an iceberg, that picture of an iceberg, and you see the top part that shows, but you see this big base under the water. And I said, to me, that truly represents the principalship, because people see just this top part, but most people do not realize the work that goes on behind the scenes, after hours, weekends, early mornings, to make sure that when our students come into the building, they have the best learning experience that they can have. They are challenged to switch hats constantly, but I just wanted to give them a public shout out that we have an amazing group of administrators dedicated to the work, serving every day, working hard. So we just wanted to make sure that we publicly recognize them and say thank you to them and all of their hard work and their service during our National Appreciation Month for our principals.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
All right, and then our third spotlight is our artwork display at the Board of Education, which this month was provided by Sandy Grove Middle School. Madam Chair, that does conclude our spotlight on success.
Thank you, Superintendent. Next on the agenda is public comments. I will yield to our attorney.
I believe we have 4 people signed up. We'll start with Mr. Maldonado. And we have 3 minutes for each individual. I'll be timekeeper tonight and let you know when you hit the end of that.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you all. Again, my name is Mark Maldonado. I am a medically retired Army combat veteran. I live here in Hope County. First, I want to thank all of you for everything that you are doing with our students here in Hope County. I have 4 children, 2 of which are Hope County students. If you don't mind, I'm going to read off my notes here that I have. 2 of my 4 children have been attending your schools for the past 2 years, and they have told me that they love it. However, we can all agree that it has been very challenging for all of us. It has, with COVID and with all of our restrictions that we've had. Although many of us have had diverse views on education strategies and health, there is nationwide concerns regarding our masking in our children. I cannot be alone in feeling that our children do not need to be masked. However, I understand that everyone does not feel the same. I just want our students to be able to have a choice. We should, and I'm asking the board to at least consider a minimum of allowing the students to have a chance to choose if they should mask themselves or not. This is especially necessary since the powers that are making these decisions are choosing to not follow their own guidance. Children are like sponges, as we all have raised our own children, we see. As many times as we try to hide the truth or teach them what we feel is necessary or right, they see what's on television, they see and listen to their peers, and there's no getting around what others are going to try to influence. So regardless, they're going to see the political people that have that influence doing the wrong thing. And it brings in that imbalance of what we're trying to teach. However, like we have freedom, we want to impose onto them the right to choose as well, and show them that they can make those decisions also. Let's leave the political chapter aside, and let's let our parents be parents. Let's use this as an opportunity to teach them to love one another, despite their disagreements, and to show them that they can coexist with their peers and teach each other. It's okay if you have a different view. Love that person. Oh, I'm so sorry, but to conclude, I just want to teach them to have a choice, that's all. Consider that. Thank you for this time.
Thank you.
Heather, Libby? I apologize if I'm mistaken.
Hello. Sorry. We're back public speaking, so I'll make this fast. I agree with what Mark was saying. My main concern is that our children are witnessing on TV public sporting events where we have crowded stadiums full of people maskless. We have Emmys, we have Grammys, we have maskless people. We have all these people that are upper echelons of society maskless, but our kids can't make their own choices. They just have to do what they're told. Why don't they get a choice? I feel like that's not very American of us, is it? I feel like our school board has done an excellent job with providing vaccines, providing the opportunity for our children to come in with the vaccine clinics that you've done. You've done an excellent job all summer long with providing opportunities for everyone to get what they need, where they need it. You've provided food, you've been there for our community. It's been awesome. But we also need to reinforce that our children have a choice in how they live their lives. And we can't take those choices away. So I really believe it should be up to the kids if they want to wear it or not. It's not going to hurt anybody. There are plenty of studies out there that show that this does not stop COVID. This is as effective as me walking around like this. It really doesn't do anything. If you want to stop it, you need to issue everybody KN95 masks. Is that something that Hope County can afford? Because I can't afford it. I can't afford to buy my kids KN95 masks to replace every single time that they take it off their face and put it down, because that's what it would take. So my other issue is, can we do something about the buses, please? Please, my teenager gets home at like 6:30, 7 o'clock every night. Like, I know you guys have got to be tired of hearing about it, but like, good Lord, that child, like, she's got no time to do anything. Like, can we like outsource her? Can we borrow some bus drivers from another school district? Is that a thing? Can they give a sign-on bonus? Is that a thing? No, maybe, I don't know, just throwing out ideas there, all right? Thank you, ladies.
Frederica Tolson.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Frederica Tolson. I currently have 3 children that are enrolled in the Hope County school system. And over the past month and a half, I've had some concerns dealing with my high schooler. I wanted to know if there were any policies overall, and I'm dealing with elementary to middle to along the high school. It's just my high schooler has brought it out for me to speak on it. But is there any policy in place to help them deal with this COVID and adjusting to being back in school? We can't handle things like we handled it in 2018, 2017. For instance, my son hasn't been in school since he was 12 years old, and now he got thrown into high school. And I know the teachers are overwhelmed. I know, and they're trying their best, but I feel like if there's something up top that can be put in place to help these kids deal with COVID if they're acting out, and let's find out why. Is it that you were 12 years old the last time you was in school, and now you're expected to be this, I gotta be this person, I'm growing into this adult, but I only had 6 weeks to do it. I know, I'm gonna give you some background. The reason I'm saying this is because my child,
Ms. Tolson, we can't talk about specific children.
okay,
If you would like to talk generally, that's fine, but
okay.
That information about your son would not be something we can hear right now.
Okay. It's not a situation, it's just him overall as a person. It's not about a situation.
That still would be confidential.
Okay. Well, he's done a lot of things, or he's been a good student. But overall, I'm just wondering if there's something in place that can help these kids to cope with. And like I said, a general policy, not each school make up their own policy, something that we can all agree on that may help these kids. Another thing I have concerns with is, are we thinking about another high school? We have all of these elementary schools, we have middle school, and we have 1 high school. You know, it says Hope County has 3 high schools, but there's Sandhope, Hawkeye, and Turlington. Turlington is an alternative school. Nobody wants their child at Turlington. Sandhope is a school that you have to be accepted into to go. Now, I can understand if it was a school that was open to everyone, and if maybe you didn't perform at a level you were supposed to, then we move you down, but you can only let a certain amount of people in there. So it leaves 2,100 kids or more at a high school for these teachers and administrators to deal with, and what are they gonna do? Treat them like numbers, roll them out. I don't have time for this behavior. I don't wanna figure out what's going on because I got 2,000 more other students that I have to worry about.
You can be sure.
Okay. But that's just my concerns, maybe thinking about another high school and maybe a policy.
Thank you. Lori, one.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I came here for one reason, but after sitting here, I have to. I'm for a mask. I'm a registered nurse. I'm in the healthcare field. Please, please do not take away the mask mandate. I'm here because I have concerns regarding the policies that are presently used to reprimand and discipline students in Hope County High School. As an RN and provider of healthcare, I have seen the devastation placed on families due to COVID. When a student who has been doing well, not perfect, but doing well in school, that child has been in robotics since 3rd grade, beta club since 5th grade, and arrives to a high school and becomes identified by negative descriptions due to incidents created by himself and others, then these actions concern me. Labeling concerns me. To identify a child as aggressive, bullying is so wrong. My question is, what determines these labels to be placed and who authorizes negative labels against our children? That's it. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
And that concludes public comments.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. I need an approval, but before I get an approval, has everybody able to view all the things in the consent agenda? If so, I need an approval from the consent agenda.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda, items 1 through 5.
Thank you. I have a second.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda, items 1 through 5. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The consent agenda is approved. Next on the agenda is action items. I'm going to yield to the superintendent.
So thank you, Madam Chair and members. We do have 5 action items for this evening. Action item 1 is the 2021-2022 COVID-19 stipend. Last month, we shared information regarding the stipend to be paid to our employees. Let me ask Ms. Lanae Chavis, our finance officer, to summarize the stipend again. After she shares with the board, we will answer any questions and then ask for your approval.
Good evening.
Good
evening.
As we shared last month, we are looking at doing a COVID stipend for all of our full-time and part-time permanent employees. The amount of the stipend would be $1,800 for the 2021-22 school year. We would pay the stipend in two different installment payments. The first payment would be $900 paid in December 2021, and the second payment would be paid in the second semester in June of 2022, also $900. When we first initiated how we would set up payment is if they were employed as of September 1 and continued employment through December, they would receive the whole $900 if they were a full-time employee, and if they were part-time, they would get a prorated amount. Then if they began employment with us in October of 2021, they would get, and stayed through December 17th, they would get $675. If they began employment November 1st of 2021 and stayed through December 17th, they would get $450. And then December 1st through December 17th, they get $225. Then if they become employed with us the second semester, starting January of 2022, and continued employment through May 31st of 2022, they would get $900. February 1st through May 31st of 2022, they would get $675. March 1st through May 31st, they get $450. April 1st through May 31st, $225, and then May 1st through May 31st, $100. We contract service personnel would not get it because they're employed with a company and not employed with Hope County Schools. Are there any questions about our COVID stipend?
Okay, so thank you. So at this time, I am asking the Board of Education for approval of the 2021-2022 COVID-19 season.
You've heard the recommendation of the superintendent. What is the pleasure of the board?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the 2021-2022 COVID-19 stipend for our employees.
I have a second.
Second.
Then moved and seconded to approve the COVID-19 stipend. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The COVID-19 stipend has been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. That means a lot to our staff. Action item number 2 is our 2021 financial audit. At this time, I'll ask Lonnie Chavis to begin this presentation and introduce Dale Smith to provide our 2021 financial audit.
I'm pleased to introduce our auditor, Dale Smith. Many of you remember him from previous years. He is with Anderson, Smith & White, and he's going to present our financial audit for the 2021 school year. And he's going to give us a good report.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Dallas, good to see y'all again.
Good evening.
Has everyone got a copy of the financial statements? Y'all received a PDF copy or a hard copy? The statements are still considered to be in draft format. They have to go to the North Carolina Local Government Commission to receive their approval. That's usually just a formality, but they are considered draft until we get that final approval. But again, it's usually just a formality, so it'll probably take another week or so before that approval comes from them. There were no new accounting or auditing standards that had to be implemented this past year. So the format of the financial statement should be very similar to what you saw last year. So if you wanted to compare information in this year's report to last year's report, the numbers should line up and be in pretty much the same spot as they were a year ago. So I just wanted to point that out to you. The financial statements cover 2 main areas that we audit and are required to issue reports on. The financial section covers the first 56 pages of the report, and it's followed by the compliance section, which is on pages 57 through 69. And for the financial section, we perform an audit of the actual finances of the school system, which includes the amounts and the financial disclosures that you see in the report. And in auditing the finances of the school system, we perform various procedures to ascertain that the district's finances are reasonably stated and free from any sort of material errors or any kind of misstatements. So there's all kinds of steps that we perform. We do analytical testing compared to prior years, comparing to predictive estimates of what numbers ought to look like and do they look like that. Any differences or unusual relationships that we encounter, we dig deeper into those areas, talk to Ms. Chavis and her department, and just to ascertain ourselves that the numbers that you're looking at are reliable and free from any sort of material misstatement. And on pages 1 and 2 of the report is the audit opinion letter that we issued that relates to the financial information. And we're happy to report that it is a clean, unmodified opinion, which in fact means that we feel the financial information included in the report is reliable and free from any sort of material mistake. Now, as I mentioned, the compliance section starts on page 57 of the report. And there are several letters that we issue that start on page 57 that relate to the compliance portion of the audit. We have to do testing on the internal controls of the district over the state and federal grant awards that are received. And we have to also test the district's compliance with various state and federal laws and regulations that primarily relate to the state and federal funding that flows through the district. And this past year, we had to perform a good bit more testing than usual because of all the COVID money that flowed through the district. But we are happy to report that all 3 of these letters that are found starting on page 57 are clean, unmodified reports. So basically, these letters let you know that we didn't note any improper use of grant funds, and from what we could tell, so all the monies that flow through the district have been spent as they should be and in accordance with the budgets that were approved by the Board of Education. Now, there are a couple of pages in the report that I wanted to draw your attention to. So if you would, let's turn over to page 11. And page 11 is the balance sheet of the governmental funds of the district. So this is like a snapshot of where the district stood on June 30th, 2021. And we'll be focusing on the first column, which is your general fund. And up at the top, the district had total assets of $2,673,683 as of June 30th, 2021. And that number is composed almost entirely of cash in the bank, which was $2,637,932. And there in the middle of the page, the district had liabilities of $1,571,613. If you take your assets minus your liabilities, you get what the district's fund balance was, or savings that's available to be spent at year end, which was $1,102,070. That's the next to last number in that first column. And that amount represents an increase over the prior year fund balance of $632,000. And due to COVID-19 and most students not being in the classroom for much of the year, the district was able to generate some cost savings in some operational areas last year. And then in addition, the district was able to use federal COVID relief funds to help cover the expenses in the operational areas where y'all saw costs go up last year. So the combination of these two factors are primarily what led the district to be able to increase its fund balance last year by the $632,000. And most of the districts that we've been to so far this year, they have all seen their fund balances go up for those exact same reasons. And I think with all the uncertainty in the economy right now, we feel it's important for the district to have extra funds in fund balance. And I think we've issued a letter to the board of the past several years, in fact, just letting the board know that your fund balance is low compared to other districts. But as it works out, y'all one of the lowest, if not the lowest funded district, I think, in the state. So y'all have had to operate on a very tight budget, and y'all done an excellent job doing that. It hasn't been easy, but y'all have come in with balanced budgets every year, year in, year out, which has been very impressive. But again, we feel it's very important to try to build that fund balance up, which y'all done this year. And I think when this federal COVID money expires, there's a good chance that y'all are going to be seeing the effects of inflation that have to be dealt with, and you won't have the COVID funds there to help to deal with it. So it'll be nice to have that extra cushion in fund balance at that time. Okay, if you read across on that fund balance line that we were just looking at, you see the state public school fund and the federal grants funds, they both show zero fund balance. Y'all spend what you receive every year in those funds, as does every district in the state. So everyone shows zero fund balance in those two funds. The other special revenue fund had a fund balance of $877,658. And this fund is used to account for various grants and programs and reimbursements. Indirect cost revenues also flow through here. So a lot of this money is restricted, but you do have some unrestricted monies that also flow through this grant, through this fund. Your individual schools fund had a fund balance of $703,696. And this is basically the ending cash balances of each individual school combined as of year end was at $703,696. And the capital outlay fund had an ending fund balance of $23,608. Any questions on this page before we move on? Okay, let's turn over to page 55 and we'll look at the school food service program.
What page did you say?
55. And this schedule shows the revenues and the expenditures of the school food service program for the year ended June 30th, 2021. And we'll be looking at the line about 3/4 of the way down. It says net change in fund balance. It's the last row that has 3 columns to it. And looking at the middle column, which is the actual results for the year, the program had an increase in fund balance of $338,695. And in the previous year, the program reported a profit of about $1.5 million. And as would be expected with the remote learning environment that the district operated under last year, Food sales and USDA reimbursements declined significantly by around $2 million last year. However, management was able to reduce salaries, food costs, and other program expenses by around 1.5 million, so almost totally offsetting the 2 million decrease in revenues. So that helped to significantly, help the program not to go into a loss for this year. And on top of that, the program was able to pay $255,000 of indirect costs. So this is money that goes out of the child nutrition program into basically your general fund to help cover the costs that the program incurs in operating out in the different school sites. And I think this is the first year, I think since 2013, that the program has been able to pay indirect costs, which is really great. Cash balances in the program were about 3.4 million last year at June 30th, and that was an increase of about 514,000. And hopefully with students back in school, the program will see meal sales and revenues get back to where they were a couple of years ago. But I think even with the decline in revenues due to COVID, the program had another very strong year and appears to be operating very soundly and in excellent financial condition at year end. Anyone have any questions about child nutrition program? And we also performed detailed testing of receipts and disbursements for the individual schools, and there were no significant issues noted in that testing. We typically note various minor things that we report to Ms. Chavis and her department, and we give her a list, and she's able to share those items with the bookkeepers and principals and use those as training tools to help train the bookkeepers going forward. But again, I think overall it looks like the bookkeepers are doing a very good job. And I think each of you should have also received a separate 3-page letter that details specific items that we're required to communicate to you all in regards to. And just wanted to let you know that that letter is basically boilerplate language. So it lets you know that there were no difficulties or disagreements encountered in dealing with management. There were no unusual audit adjustments that had to be made. And basically no reportable issues were noted during the audit. So I think overall the audit went very smoothly and as good as we could hope for, and very pleased with what we saw from a financial standpoint. I think the district is very well managed financially. Y'all are doing a great job of maintaining balanced budgets, and again, y'all added to fund balance this year, so a lot of positive things that we saw from an audit standpoint. Did anyone have any questions about anything? Anything I didn't cover that you wanted me to talk about?
No, I tell you, it sounds good to me. It really does. And I was so glad to hear that the fund balance, because it's something that we have been working for over the years, and you told us the importance of that. So,
well, like I said, y'all done a very good job of operating with a low fund balance, and it really leaves no room for any kind of error when you're budgeting. Because if y'all make a mistake budgeting and you've only got 400,000 of fund balance, with a budget at, $70 million, whatever y'all's budget is, I don't know, but it's hard to get it exactly right. So y'all, I think y'all done a very good job with what you've had to deal with.
Thanks. So then to
Ms. Wade?
Ms. Wiley and her staff.
Is there any percentage recommendation that you would have for fund balance?
The state does not give school systems a required percentage. They do require that county government, municipalities, they can't go below 8% of their expenditures. So in y'all's case, y'all's general fund expenditures are, y'all don't get a lot in your general fund. So 8% of your general fund, I think it would only be, around 500,000 or so. So y'all are at over $1 million now. So technically y'all are, a good bit above that minimum 8%. But, given that y'all also got, a lot that you spend in the state public school fund, federal grants fund, and, if things ever got bad, y'all would be required to also account for those funds as well. You'd like to see your fund balance be maybe, double what it is right now. If you could get it to that point, I think would be a good level for a district this size.
I bet you one day can do that.
Every time.
Well, I just want to say we appreciate you and your team. If you ever see his team in action, they come in They bring the office with them, they go into that conference room and comb through papers and files and reports, and I appreciate the time that you took with me after to explain things and review the audit. I found that very helpful, but we do appreciate you and all of your work.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you so much for working with Juanette. You've been doing it for a while now, and we just appreciate your expertise.
Yes.
You and your staff, so thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
I do miss my books.
Juanette's got them. Soon as LGC approves them, she's gonna hand those out.
Okay.
Okay, good to see y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So if there are no other questions at this time, I will ask the Board of Education for approval of our 2021 financial audit.
For the recommendation of the superintendent, what is the pleasure of the board?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the action item 2021 financial audit.
May I have a second?
Second.
Yeah, a motion to approve the financial audit, 2021-22 financial audit, and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The financial audit has been approved.
Thank you very much. So action item number 3 is the naming of the East Hope Middle School football field after Miss Brenda Ramsey. Let me ask Gary Brigman, our Hope County School Athletic Director, to share this information with the board, please. And after he shares, we'll answer any questions and we will be asking for approval.
If approved, we plan to have the ceremony next Wednesday, the 20th. We have a home football game at East Middle. We'd like to invite the Ramsey family to the school and have a celebration for her and her achievements at East Middle and Upchurch Middle School, and make it a big day for the Eagles out there. And so hopefully the Board of Education see fit to name this field after Ms. Ramsey. You all have any questions?
Did you say next Wednesday?
Yes, October 20th. That'll be their next home football game.
They should be available.
Hope so. We have an alternate date. We could go to the 27th also.
Oh, okay.
But we don't shoot for the first Wednesday, so that.
What time?
Ma'am.
What time?
The middle school football runs at 4 o'clock. So we may adjust the times a little bit for the celebration.
It will be before or after the game?
It'll be done before. I think that's proper, but do it before, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I was trying to reflect back when we did it for George at the West Hope Middle School. I think we did it before.
So are there any other questions? Okay, if not, at this time, I am asking the Board of Education for approval of the naming of the East Hope Middle School football field after Brenda Ramsey.
You've heard the recommendation of the superintendent. What is the pleasure of the board?
Madam Chair, I move that we name the East Hope Middle School football field after Ms. Ramsey.
I need second.
Second.
Second? Okay. It's been moved and seconded to name the football field at East Hope Middle School Brenda Ramsey football field. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it. That has been approved, which is great.
Thank you. Thank you. Then Mr. Brigham will share that information out then once he gets.
I can share the information once we get it. Give it Mr. Cohen.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Action item 4 is approval of our school improvement plans for all of our Hope County Public Schools. Let me ask Dr. Shannon Register, our Assistant Superintendent of Secondary Curriculum and Instruction, to share this information with the board. After she shares, we will answer any questions and then ask for approval of all of our plans.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I want to say good evening to the chair of the board, to the board members, to Madam Superintendent and all others that are here in attendance. School improvement is the single most important business of school in that it is continuous process that must go on and on and on and on.
Never ending.
Principals and their school improvement team identify academic and priority goals along with strategies and action steps. On Tuesday, September the 28th and Thursday, September the 30th, the school board had an opportunity to attend the school improvement plan presentation. Now, since you had a chance to listen to those plans and action steps, at this time, Madam Superintendent, on behalf of Erica Fortenberry, the principals, and the school improvement team, I submit to you the school improvement plans for approval of the school board.
So at this time, we are asking the board for approval of the Hope County Schools Improvement Plans.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of the superintendent. What is the pleasure of the board?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the action item number 4, Hope County School Improvement Plan.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
We've had a motion to approve the 2021 school improvement plan. And a second, all in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it. Tell Ms. Erica Fortenberry and the principals congratulations.
Yes, for those of you who like your hard copies, you have your binder.
Thank you.
With all of the presentations.
Yeah.
So. Okay, so good evening again. Our action item number 5 is the review of our district face mask policy. As you know, under Senate Bill 654, a public school unit shall vote on their face covering policy at least once a month to determine whether it should be modified. At our July 20th Board of Education meeting, we voted that face coverings would be required inside all buildings and on all school transportation for all students and staff, pre-K through 12, regardless of vaccination status. Face coverings are not required outdoors and are recommended when in crowded outdoor settings. At our September Board of Education meeting, we voted to maintain our current face covering policy. This is the policy that we have followed since the onset of the 21-22 school year. Our numbers in Hope County are heading in the right direction, and we hope to see this continue to climb. Our current local metrics show our 7-day percent positivity as 8.41%, which is down from 15.3%, which at our last board meeting. However, our county transmission rate is still identified as high. And so when your transmission rate is still identified as high, the CDC and our health department still recommends that everyone wears a mask in public indoor settings. Also, our vaccination rate is still at a lower level, hovering around 30%. So although we are headed in the right direction, we still consider face coverings to be one of our most important mitigation strategies that can be implemented in our schools to help reduce the spread of COVID-19. We have vaccinations, we have physical distancing, and we have masking. So at this time, I will open it up to the board if you have any comments or suggestions for any modifications to our current policy. So if I have no questions at this time, I'm going to ask for approval from the board to maintain and continue with our current face mask policy.
Per the recommendation of the superintendent, what is the pleasure of the board?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move that we accept the recommendation of the superintendent for the mask.
May I have a second?
Second.
There's been a motion to approve the recommendation of the superintendent of wearing a mask, and there's been a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. the mascot approved to continue to wear.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is administrative items. I will yield to Superintendent.
Okay, so thank you, Madam Chair and members. We have, I believe, 3 information items this evening. Information item A is exciting news, information regarding our new Dodea STEM grant that we have been awarded. So I'm going to ask Dr. Dawn Ramsor, our Assistant Superintendent of Pre-K-5, and Ms. Amber Hutchins, our STEM Director, to please share this exciting news.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I'm actually going to just tell you a little bit about this, just to give you a little background. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Hutchins. The 2021 Dodea grant actually came as a bit of a surprise. We like this kind of surprise. We actually submitted an application to Dodea in 2019 for the 2020 grant. However, of course, with the COVID interruptions, they actually did not award the 2020 grants. And then we received an email in the middle of September saying, hey, you know that grant application, we've accepted that for the 2021 grant period. And so we were actually given about 2 days to make all of the suggested edits to the grant application and resubmit that application. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Amber Hutchins, who is, of course, our STEM project director, who took that project and ran with it, given the huge task in such a short time. And I think she's still recovering from her all-nighter to make sure it got in on time. We are so fortunate to have her as a member of our Hope County Schools team.
Oh, okay. Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Dallas, members of the executive cabinet who also worked very hard on this, and guests. I will go ahead and tell you, I love to talk about STEM and science, so I will try to, I have an outline here, so it's going to keep me in line so I don't go off too far. But the grant that we have is called Exploration of Engineering through Health Sciences. So these grants are aimed at strengthening the family, school, and community relationships, while it enhances student achievement for our military-dependent students. And this specific type of grant is a military-connected academic and support program. We already have one that's in place for in year 4, so this one actually complements, and it builds on the same support system that has already been put in place by 2018. So we're speaking the same language, we're working towards the same goals, but we have a little bit more refined focus. So if you take a look at the next slide, our primary objective for this grant is to increase the interest and enrollment in STEM-related courses of military-connected, female, and students from underrepresented populations in Hope County. Through project-based learning and digital learning, STEM and health sciences will be integrated as part of a curriculum that engages with technologies and applications needed to address public health issues and uses the engineering design process to develop preventative, diagnostic, and therapeutic innovations. So the idea here, we've already been talking about PDL, project-based learning. And research shows that our students do better with authentic problems. And that's what we're pushing out through PDLs. We're adding on that engineering part with an engineering design process. We want to be speaking the same language. We want to push our children towards those fields and careers that build, and they are speaking that language early. So we were very intentional in choosing exploration of engineering through health sciences as a focus because it's integrating 2 of the most intense and highly diversified STEM fields, increasing both for military-connected students and females in underrepresented populations in elementary and middle schools. So as we strive to increase the rigor in our classrooms, we also want to prepare our students for careers that they might not even know that they're afforded. So we want to put that there and start talking it to them. We want them to see, this is your opportunity. And let the girls see, you can be an engineer. Let them see their opportunities because they might not see it inside those four walls of a classroom. And believe it or not, they know when you're being authentic and you're talking to them and you're being true to them. So we want to push those health sciences and we start early. So if you go to that slide, this right here helps explain why we really honed in on the health sciences. Okay, so according to the 2018 North Carolina County Health Rankings, Hope County ranked 98 out of 100 counties for quality of clinical health care. Now, I did look it up because this was written, as Dr. Ramsher said, for the last year, the year board. We have increased a little, there's been some hospital expansions and things like that. But still, we want our students to know they can problem solve right here. That strengthens our community, it strengthens the partnership. So we focus on the health sciences. But we also know from research that we can't just not identify an underrepresented population. There's research out there about females. A lot of people have tried to figure out, is it self-efficacy? Is it that they just don't see themselves good in math? They just don't see themselves good in these content areas? But our children in females the gap widens the older they get. And we can't just go in and touch them in high school and say, oh, we fixed it. We got to start talking to them early and build that so that they have that confidence going into middle school. And then we're going to build on it some more for when they get to high school, because we have a phenomenal CTE department at the high school. And we want to get some help in there and get them excited about it early. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to start by just sparking those interests in our elementary students. And then hopefully that is going to prompt them to enroll in those health sciences in the middle school. Then we're going to provide professional development. Our children and our teachers are what are going to sustain this program. So if we want to see growth, we want to make sure even after this grant has ended, that we don't see a drop. So the only way to keep it growing is to grow the students and the teachers. So through professional development that is aimed at the science and the CTE, we're going to give them these engineering and project-based learning skills that they need. Then we're going to provide resources. And I know the stuff that's in school is not what's most important, but we want to give our children a chance to touch and be a part of resources that they can build on. And then, if you go on to the next, we also want to sustain our professional development with our teachers with technologies. This year, more than ever, we realize how important it is to grow our teachers. And they have really had to face this virtual and digital world, and I'm very happy with it. I've been in classrooms and I've seen students that are on the card, and it's exciting to see, but teachers are having to juggle it. So as we are working with the technologies, we're going to sustain that professional development. Now, with this grant, there's two main goals. One is for elementary, 4th and 5th graders, and the second is with middle school. Within those two goals, there are two strategies. One is for in-class, in-school, and one is extracurricular for both of those, which is, very similar to the 2018. So what are we talking about with extracurricular? Summer STEM camp. And even building on past robotics. And y'all hear about robotics, but there are other parts of STEM education, and we want to make sure we're touching that. STEM clubs, we've got drones, engineering challenges, robotics, computer coding, and community-based projects. Make those authentic problems for students to solve. And then the last is expose our students to schools of engineering and STEM schools. We want our students to see themselves there. I said this before, and I I like to use this quote by Sam Houston. He says, we want to teach our students what to do when they don't know what to do. I did some reading, I do a lot of reading about science, and I came across something that was very interesting. It said, what is the difference between a scientist and an engineer? And I've asked a couple of kids that as I've been out. But in this paper, it said, a scientist starts with a question and tries to find an answer. An engineer starts with a problem and tries to find a solution. So we want our children, and when we start teaching them in that style, they start looking at the world through an analytical lens. They start seeing things and they start saying, hey, I can figure that problem out, and start coming up with ideas. So that's what we want. We want our students to see themselves in those careers. So if you look, we have our grant information. Wonderful. $1,436,459, and a few little pennies of change. That was the part we worked a long time at night on. Believe it or not, the few little pennies were the ones that had to completely match up. Our grant period will start at September 30th, 2021, and it will run through May 31st, 2026. Our in-kind contributions, a lot of this is based on when teachers are in professional development, making sure they have the technology, those types of things. And the grades are specific to 4th through 8th grade. Now the 2018 goes 4th through 12th, but this one is specific to 4th grade through middle school, because then they can go to the CTE full department at the high school. We have 6 elementary schools and 2 middle schools. They're based on high military connected students. And then you see all our partnerships. We have, I will have to say, the people who worked on this grant the previous year reached out and talked to a lot of partners. You see there all the list of people who want to be a part of this. Because when you're doing something great, people want to be a part of it. So if you happen to run into any of these folks, make sure you tell them how happy we are that they decided to collaborate with us. And then finally, the exploration of engineering through health science program will allow students in Hope County to study real-world health science issues that are prevalent in our community and our world, and provide them with opportunities to design, create, and explore possible solutions for the various issues. Okay, any questions? Yes, ma'am.
So at one point, I remember we were going to, because we talked about technology, we talked about STEM, we talked about all of these things, and we were going to sort of select the students by, I think the 4 and 5s that they make on the integrated testing, whatever, and whoever wanted to come to summer school. We were gonna have like a STEM summer school. We did a IMIT, was that?
IMIT, yes.
Okay, right. And so we did that, and all the students, girls, they were interested, and we did a big thing about that. And so then we were gonna have a summer school, but COVID came, right? So then, summer school didn't happen. Well, the summer school did happen, but it was a totally different, we're trying to get the students to just come back up. Right? So how do you suppose we're going to grab those students that are interested, other than the 4 and 5s?
You mean for the summer program?
Well, we're not gonna do a summer program, so, are we? We still gonna do a summer program?
That's on here.
We couldn't do the summer program until
Last year.
20 something else.
Right. And we'll be able to do a summer program. Definitely planning on doing a STEM summer program.
Because I know this summer coming, we're probably still gonna continue what we're doing now, because, right?
Right, but it won't have to be as long, and so that was a concern why we could not have them both coexist.
Right.
So our summer program will be shortened in terms of the required, summer program that we did before.
Right.
We're looking at even alternating those dates so that students could have the opportunity to, we're looking at all of those different things. in the calendar to make sure that students have an opportunity to attend, but we'll still be open that up to students, so
Yeah, I
we will
think,
be able
was
to.
it last year, House Bill 82, I think required almost 150 hours?
Yeah.
Which basically spanned over 6 weeks. So right now, we're not under any guidelines for that, even with what we've received. So we're hoping that we can actually run a couple different camps consecutively and also throughout the summer so that kids have access to different camp opportunities.
I'm okay with it,
Yeah.
When you listed, you said you had 6 elementary schools that's part of the military. Name those schools. I know Rockfish will be one, and probably Sandy Grove. What other?
So all of them except Hawkeye and West Hook Elementary, and West Hook Middle. Those are the ones that have the lowest, they don't qualify for that particular grant, but as you know, with Hook County, whenever we do things for the entire district, and we don't select.
So for this grant, we have to report the school specific. But when you offer a program, it touches everyone. So, I mean, I do have,
West Hook actually is one.
West Hook Elementary, yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, no,
Oh,
Hawkeye.
and McLaughlin.
And McLaughlin.
What are they named them, you say?
I have Rockfish Hook Elementary, Sandy Grove Elementary, Don Steed Elementary, Scurlock Elementary, Upchurch Elementary, and West Hope Elementary. The 2 middle schools that are directly affected by this are East Hope Middle and Sandy Grove Middle.
But again, you know,
Yeah.
touch every.
So, and then a second part of the, maybe a layer onto that question is that when teachers are excited and they start seeing that potential and seeing how to use, I love the engineering design process. My brain thinks like the engineering design process. And the resources that have been included in this are, one of my favorite is the Engineering is Elementary, which is created by the Museum of Boston. And it really marries a STEM career with a challenge. And it doesn't just start out like, here's a challenge, go do it. It teaches teachers and students the process of going in, gathering data, and then using data to make a decision about a design. So I like that because a lot of times students just think, oh, give me the materials and let me just build something. But this actually walks them through that engineering design process to learn that I have to gather some data. I have to understand what I'm being asked to do and then apply it and use it. And then the great thing about the engineering design process is you always get to fix it if you mess up because you go back and fix whatever didn't work. And we want them to be that type of thinker, analytical. Well, how can I improve it? So that's another thing. Looking at some specific labs for the middle school that are focused on the health sciences, that allow teachers some flexibility to go in there and have students working hands-on, the same process. So our goal is to incorporate that engineering design process and thought process with the health sciences to really foster a love for our students, and that will continue to grow.
I still have a question.
Yes.
I need to be sure that, I need to understand, since there are only 2 middle schools and 6 elementary schools, will all of our students have access to this program?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
When we do professional development, we don't leave anybody out.
Okay.
No one's left out, but we have to collect data on these students.
We will track those schools for data purposes, but we've always made sure that all of our schools have that opportunity, will have the same type of program.
And Dede is very aware of that. We've had some conversations with them in the past about, certainly not excluding anyone. However, obviously for the grant purposes, we do, like Ms. Hutchins said, we track that data, but they are aware that we don't leave anybody out. But we actually do our professional development, and our students who are in those schools still are invited to all of the camps and anything else that we do.
Thank you.
2022.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
I like that.
Yes. So information item B is an update on COVID-19 and our vaccination. Let me ask Dr. Peggy Owens, our Executive Director of Student Support Services, to speak to that.
Madam Chair, Madam Superintendent, and the members of the board, good evening. Okay, we'll just proceed with some, with COVID updates. And as you can, see, Dr. Dallas has already, addressed some of the data, so we just kind of move, quickly. But, Hope County, as you can see, we are at 33%, in terms of one dose, persons being vaccinated, and 29%, of fully vaccinated. And that was as of October the 7th, but I can tell you as of today, we are at 30%. And, some of the data changed because of the glitch in the system, the vaccination management system at the state. Currently, we have, there's been a total of 76 deaths for the county related to COVID. And as of today, that number is a total of 77. So next slide, please. The information that we shared with you last month in terms of our vaccination events. So these are the numbers from June through July. In terms of our contribution, I would like to say for Hope County schools, in terms of the number of persons receiving first and second doses. And then if you would move to the next slide, please. So in our second event, we actually, those are the totals from August 3rd through August 5th in terms of first doses as well as second doses. So one of the things that happened during our event, we were actually administering first and second doses at those events. Next slide. Okay, so what's next? So what's next for us? We reported to you last month that we have signed the agreement for the K-12 COVID vaccination testing program. So what does that mean for us as we move forward? So currently we are in what we call the onboarding process. And so what that means is that we have identified a vendor from the state. MACO will be our vendor. And we have also selected the type of test, the testing. The state offers both screening as well as diagnostic. And so we are starting with the screening test for screenings. And so what that does for us, that's a preventative measure that would help us to identify those students who are potentially positive in the building that's asymptomatic. And of course, we will have to, we haven't made it that far yet, we will create a schedule to have those screening tests. The other part of that is that the program also offers diagnostic tests. So diagnostic testing is when someone is symptomatic, and we can do that type of testing on site. And so we will also be signing on for diagnostic as well. So the next step is that we have this week, we actually have created the accounts for each of our schools. So then we will be meeting with the vendor again this week so we can go to the next phase of PR. We have to also create accounts, notify parents, give them an opportunity. That's the parent piece, because the parents will have to give permission for their child to be tested. This testing opportunity is also available for our school employees. So that gives you a snippet of where we are with the testing program. And so hopefully next month we'll be able to lay out everything for you. We have completed the budget. Our amount that our, I'm gonna say awarded, well, it hasn't been awarded, but our budgeted amount is $900,000 for this testing program. We're projected hopefully to start November 1, and it is scheduled to end in June 2022. So that's where we are currently with the testing program. Any questions? Okay, as we shared with you last month, we are planning to have a vaccination event for homecoming here at Hope County High School, right here in the Media Center. And so we want to thank Dr. Benson and his team for granting us that. We will be partnering with the Hope County Health Department as well as the Mount Calvary Center for Leadership Development. Mount Calvary covers about 9 counties. They're located in the Wilmington area, but Hope County is one of their counties. Their specialty, they are funded through the state, and their specialty is to focus on COVID. And they have been doing this for a little over a year now, so they provide various support in terms of medical support for residents. They also do transportation, they do food, so they do a number of things. And so they will be helping us with the PR, and that they will be able to canvass the neighborhood. They do have a community health worker, and so that person will actually go and canvass. And so we're hoping that we will have a number of persons to actually get vaccinated, and that will help to increase our vaccination rates here in Hope County.
So how, I mean, you, I'm sorry, will you finish?
I am, yes ma'am.
Okay. So how is that process? So it's gonna be the 15th, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it's gonna, you guys are gonna be in here.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, are they gonna announce it?
Yes.
Like over on the, okay.
Yes, ma'am. We'll have flyers.
There'll be a lot of foot traffic too in the area, so we'll have plenty of staff. We're recruiting staff now just to be out, visible, moving around to basically help share that.
Hey, they get that.
Yeah. And they have all of they'll bring their staff in. My direct staff will be working with them and other student support services. Our nurses will be available as well, but they'll bring their team in to actually do the vaccination along with the health department. There will be some nurses from the health department. They have all of their materials, probably PR, the little stands they will put out. In fact, we will, I'll meet with Mrs. Sutherland tomorrow, Miss Angela Sutherland. She's coming to pick up flyers. Dr. Benson and her met today to talk about it. They're excited, and she's going to share that with the Alumni Association.
Okay.
And we'll have time throughout the game for announcements prior to and during that time. So, we want to just promote that because we all know that's what will make the difference. We're at that point now that we really do need to continue encouraging people to get vaccinated. Okay. Any other questions?
Are they giving a stipend for that?
Though they,
Unfortunately.
a great question. When we met with them last week, that was one of the things that they had put on the table, and they were actually seeking to see if they could get that, but however, the state has pulled that back in, so that's not going to be available. The stipend is not going to be available. But, that team, that was one of the first things that they put on the table, and they worked for close to over a week to see if they could secure that. However, they are continuing to work to see if they can get a donor to provide some form of gift card or something of that nature that would be available.
I have a comment. We're looking at the statistics side, people aren't really getting vaccinated. I mean, it's just like it's holding steady, nobody's really getting vaccinated. I don't understand.
Well, we don't understand a lot of stuff. You'll be amazed. That's the reason it's important that we encourage people to get vaccinated and that to have vaccination events, you know, because you never know what will trigger a person's mind to change their mind, you know, to say, oh, okay, well, I finally decided. Everybody said they have to do their own research, but I just believe when they come to that point that they realize, you know, I need to do this. You know, there's lots of information out there, you know, pro and con against vaccination, but we want to encourage everyone to get vaccinated. We know that will make a difference.
I have 3 family members that passed away of COVID. They were not vaccinated. I mean, if people don't understand that, and it's not only my family, what will it take? They didn't believe wearing a mask, taking a vaccination, what the government had going on, anything. I don't understand it. God heaven knows I don't. So if I could not stand up there and say, I lost 3 family members who wouldn't had the vaccination and wouldn't wear the mask or do anything the CD said to do, I mean, what does it take? I don't understand it. I'm
Look,
just lost.
everybody has a choice and they hear all this information out there. So I just say leave it to them and let them make up their own minds.
They're not using any common sense.
But, you know, let them make up their mind. Something will trigger it one day. I was talking to a lady a week ago and she had not had it. And, but something happened. She went and got the shot. But she said, don't tell my daughter, because my daughter hasn't had it. And I don't want her to know it, but I got my first shot. I got to go back and get my second shot because I'm afraid. So when it triggers, when it get close to them and they get afraid, they're going to get it because she did. She said, I got my first shot. I don't want my daughter to know it, but I got mine, you see. So I just say, well, God gives all of us choices. He's not going to force anything on us, good or bad. You make your choice. And that's what I'm saying, Dan. Let them make their choice. We may have to suffer, but we need to pray and go on.
Dr. Owens, from your stats, that's just Polk County. So there has been like people from Polk County to go to Rockingham, to go to Fayetteville and everywhere else to get shots. Do you guys, well, the health department?
Yes.
Doesn't, you know, because they can't because they don't have those numbers.
Right. That data comes back to the health department. I think that was part of whatever happened with the system. You know, whether data was getting in or not, but when they went back in and the adjustment was made in the system, then you could see that our numbers went down. I think when I presented to you last month, we were at like 50-some%. But the reality, the actual numbers are in the 30%. 1 dose as well as fully vaccinated, 30%. But those numbers go back wherever you are, even if you're out of state and you get the vaccination, that information comes back to North Carolina. So, and then, you know, everybody still is not on technology, so sometimes, you know, in terms of transferring information, it may be like hard copy and they have to enter that data.
Any other questions? Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Information item C is your monthly financial report. So if you have any questions, we can direct those to Ms. Juana Chavis, our Chief Finance Officer.
Okay.
That's it. That concludes our information items.
Thank you, Superintendent Wallace. Next on the agenda is our closed session. I need a motion to go into closed session.
Madam Chair, I make the motion. Should we go into closed session for the following reason? The board entered into closed session on the North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11 to prevent the disclosure of confidential personnel matters, to consider matters relating to initial employment of individual employees, and to consult with the board's attorney to preserve the attorney-client privilege.
Second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to go into closed session for all of those reasons. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
We're gonna go into closed session. I am going to give us about 7 minutes. Yeah,